G'day YouTube, Warbles on a lot here. Just about to go for a bit of a fang on the Sting. Something of a test ride today, in the sense that yesterday when I was going to town, and you can see it in the video that I uploaded of the event, there were a couple of times when, while I was wearing the sunglasses to keep the wind out of my eyes while riding with the visor up, as you do, sort of thing, I discovered that the display telling me about watt hours per kilometre was too small for me to read if I held it right out at arm's length so that I could actually focus on it, because I'm an old bastard. And if I brought it in any closer so that I could make the figures big enough to see, then it went out of focus. So sunglasses are not the thing, apparently, if I want to actually pay attention to watt hours per kilometre. And I'm new enough at the game that I don't really sort of kind of know what's going on, in the sense that I spent half of yesterday's ride reading 50 watt hours per kilometre. It's a 2.3 kilowatt hour battery, so if I was sucking 50 watt hours per kilowatt, oh, I see, I wasn't sucking it for the full hour. But anyway, yeah, I keep coming up with the idea that I should have something in the order of 34, 35 kilometres range at 50 watt hours per kilometre. But of course, I wasn't riding for a full hour, was I? I was only riding for 23 minutes in and 23 minutes out at full throttle. So 46 minutes at 50 watt hours per kilo. Yeah, that makes more sense, because I'd come home from yesterday's ride and I had used 50% of the battery. And I started off with 99. And then half an hour later, the battery said it was 52%. So as it cooled down, it recovered somewhat. So 49% of the battery, and I'd actually travelled 34 kilometres, which would indicate I've got a functional range of somewhere around 60 kilometres if I was to use the full battery, and closer to 50 kilometres if I only want to use 75% of the battery. So I'm now about to go for a ride, more or less for no reason at all whatsoever, except to see whether I can wear granny glasses in a full face helmet without their going wrong in some fashion. But ideally, I should now be able to look down and read the instrument panel clearly and in focus, look up and see the background clearly and in focus, and still operate the motorcycle. Time will tell, I guess. Okay, now what I did find in yesterday's movie is that as I look down at the instrument panel, it's kind of difficult to prevent the bottom of the helmet getting in the way of the lens. Also, as I look over at the two wing mirrors. So I guess, what can we say? You get to track my head movements as I'm riding. All part of the fun, eh? Okay, try again. Right, not going to tell me anything. Right, well, 2 minutes to 3. And at the moment, yeah, that's working well. Might need to readjust my mirrors. So, I'll switch off for better effect on the trip time. And I did take the back brake blocks out and check them, and they've got plenty of meat on them left, which is good, because 141 kilometres, you wouldn't want to be running out of brake blocks, would you? Just they're noisy. I don't know why they're noisy. They weren't noisy when I first got them, but they are now. That's the front brake I'm using there. Back brake's better. Maybe they've just got to come up to speed. So we use no watt hours per kilometre coming down the hill. What I'm trying to figure out is whether that thing gives me a overall collective view. And that says I'm using 2 watt hours per 3. 4, 5. So downhill, 21 kilometres an hour, 8 watt hours per kilometre. And here's the thing, I've just gone into eco mode. So that's 24 k's at 11, oh you're back down to 9. Right, so that seems to give me an actual readout in real time of how much power I'm using. Although it's saying I'm using 10 watt hours per kilometre as I was coming down from 20 to 19 or 17. Still says 10, although I've been accelerating. Now it says 11. (13 watt hours per kilometre, 33. Roll the throttle off, it went up to 16 and it's staying on 16. Dropped back to 14, up to 15 again as the throttle came on. Up to 16, throttle off. And rolling down a hill here, we've got 3.5 star. Oh well, we're on 94 and I don't think regenerative braking works below 90. 16 watt hours per kilometre. Suddenly dropped to 14, now back up to 15. I just don't know. One thing I do want to do when I get onto the highway, onto the bitumen rather, over the bloody mirrors again, is to establish what full throttle in economy mode actually means. So I can figure out in my own head what the actual range of this thing is. Okay, so it's sitting there on 21 watt hours per kilometre. Oops, didn't mean to do that, but it happened anyway. Okay. (31 kilometres an hour, 22 watt hours per kilometre). 24. And 23 again. 25. 27 watt hours per kilometre at 33. Six. 27. Right. 26, 27 watt hours per kilometre in eco. Welcome to sport. $29, $30, still on 29, $30, $31, $32, $33, $32, 47 kilometres an hour going up a hill, 34, battery capacity down at 92, 46, 47, 34 watt hours per kilometre, 35 watt hours per kilometre, 46 kilometres an hour, 91% capacity. 36 watt hours per kilometre, 47, 46 kilometres an hour, 38 watt hours per kilometre. These bloody granny glasses sure make a difference. 38 watt hours per kilometre, 48 kilometres per hour. 91% battery. 3 kilometres down the road. Maintaining 43 kilometres per hour, 37 watt hours, watts per kilometre. The road's bumpy enough at 43, 44 kilometres an hour, plenty for me. 36, 37 watts per watt hours per kilometre. .46 coming out of that corner, 38 watt hours per kilometre. .90%. That's 5% off the battery, 3 kilometres down the road. Kilometres an hour, 4 kilometres down the road. The odometer does not read in tenths of a kilometre. It reads in whole kilometres. It's up from 3 to 4 with nothing in between. 38 watt hours per kilometre at 48. It's now about to start going up the hill. Watt hours per kilometre at 46 k's going up the hill. .43 watt hours per 48 watt hours per, 48 kilometres an hour, 43 watt hours per kilometre. 49 kilometres an hour, 43 watt hours. 42 watt hours, we're going down the hill, regenerative braking kicking in. Or maybe gravity is reducing the amount of power the computer has given to the engine. But yeah, 49 kilometres an hour down that little hill. Watt hours per kilometre and 48 kilometres an hour. Going up the hill, of course. 42 watt hours per kilometre. 43 going up the hill, see? 46 kilometres an hour, 43 watt hours per kilometre. 86% charge remaining. 44 watt hours per kilometre. This will be interesting because it's a bigger, steeper hill. 44 watt hours per kilometre. 45 kilometres an hour, 46. 44 watt hours per kilometre, 43. 43 watt hours per kilometre, 45 k's. 48 kilometres an hour, 50 kilometres an hour, 85%, 41 watt hours per kilometre. So yeah, we actually did reclaim the tiny bit of the energy there. 40 watt hours per kilometre. Seems to take a bit of time to process stuff. "45 k's, 8 kilometres down the road, 41 watt hours per kilometre. 40 watt hours per kilometre, this is all downhill, see? Still on 85%. Watt hours per kilometre. Yeah, it seems to give you a sort of a delayed running total. So I've done 8 kilometres at an average of 40 watt hours per kilometre. I've used 400 watt hours. And I just hit the eco button. And at full throttle, 33, 34, and we're looking at 39 watt hours per kilometre. If you were to continue on going at this rate. Welcome to sport. 48, 49. So we've used about 10 or 11% of the battery to get here, and we're still able to do 48 kilometres an hour at 39 watt-hours per kilometre. I think I am in fact getting into the situation where the battery spent a long time sitting there not being used, and it seems to be quite enjoying getting used and recharged and used and recharged, and not charged all the way up to 100. I stopped at 95%. Not discharged, well, I haven't gone below 42% so far. Very interesting coming out here on a motorbike when you're used to doing it in a motor car. 40 watt-hours per kilometre, 48 kilometres per hour, 10 kilometres from the hut. Freaked out the kangaroos on the side of the road, so I can be seen and I can be heard. That's interesting. It must be the noise of the electric motor and the chain and the tyres, I suppose. Perhaps the headlight, moving bright light. First hitting the eyeball with a bug, didn't hurt much, but you know, most of it maybe. Visor down. And behold, the granny glasses do not fog up as long as you keep moving. Very well designed helmet. It sucks air out at the top, back up, pulls it in at the bottom from the front, in front of your nose and your mouth. Top of the hill, 40 watt-hours per kilometre. Battery, 49 kilometres an hour, 40 watt-hours per kilometre. Does not slow down for hills, it doesn't go any faster than 48, 49, 41 watt-hours per kilometre, but we're at the top of the hill. Watt-hours per kilometre, 48 kilometres an hour. 13 kilometres. like a stream of smoke going up the sky. Thermal. 14k. So that's pretty much like a trip to town, isn't it? Offset corners. Nance Park Road, 14 k's to Deepwater, but I'm not going to go all the way. In fact, I might stay at eco speed, because I just don't know how rough this road's going to be. And I know it is likely to be rough. $31.30 going up the hill. And 42 watt hours per kilometre to go up that hill at 42. 32. We're now rolling 34. And it's very tempting to come out of eco and into sport, but I have driven on this road and I know how bloody suddenly a pothole or a corrugation or something that would upset a motorbike can appear. $41. It's a really weird delayed response. And maybe it's the effort of getting up the hill that takes a long time of being parsimonious and abstemious with your current afterwards before it starts to pull the consumption rate meter down. Right? See how bloody rough this is? That's why I didn't want to hit it by surprise, going faster than this. Good idea to know your limitations. And when it comes to motorcycles, I'm nothing but limitations. And this is sort of soft and slippery except where it's bumpy and full of potholes. 41 watt hours per kilometre. Private land, on the left we have Rangers Valley feedlot owned by Marabini Resources, and I'm pretty sure that feedlot is the smallest of their international enterprises. Once again, see where I'm going slow? The thing you got to remember, or the thing I remember, is by training and a bit of experience, I'm an orthopaedic nurse. I'm pretty good at it too. And we always had at least 16 broken motorcyclists in the male orthopaedic ward, and I worked there for 4 months. And in summer, it might well be 20 motorcycles. But in winter, 4 of them had turned into broken snow skis. So, on the one hand, I'm kind of sort of almost terrified of motorbikes. On the other hand, I can't afford a 4-wheeled electric vehicle that's road registered. And I can't afford the solder here to recharge it, so I just have to learn how to ride a motorbike. And against my experience as an orthopaedic nurse and all the broken motorcycle riders coming into the hospital and having to try and patch them back up again, I have known people who've been riding motorbikes for 30, 40, 50 years and they haven't ever fallen off hard enough to hurt themselves, sort of thing. If that, you know, I've never fallen off on the road, only ever fallen off by riding in the bush, dirt tracky stuff. And one of them actually said to me that 60% of the motorcyclists have 100% of the accidents. And he might be right, and he's probably exaggerating, and it might be more like 80% of the motorcyclists have 100% of the accidents, but there is still apparently a significant minority of motorcyclists who don't have any accidents because they're really fucking obsessive compulsive control freaks. And they rely on their superior judgment to keep them out of any situation which might require superior riding skills to stay alive in. And that's the kind of motorcyclist I have an ambition to become. At the moment, I'm just a fucking try-hard and a wannabe. But I am having fun. And those of you familiar with my channel will no doubt recollect that I have brought you up here before. To regard a Ranges Valley feedlot and Ranges Valley Dam. Once upon a time, this was the largest privately owned dam in the Southern Hemisphere. And then it was bought by a feedlot. But originally it was just one bloke who started a little feedlot and proved that it was profitable. And after he proved it was profitable, somebody come in and offered to buy a share in it so that they could expand. So they did. And after they expanded, then the new partners wanted to expand again, and the bloke who'd started it, he didn't have any money. He was as extended as he could possibly get. So they offered to buy him out so that they could expand yet again. And I think it's 25,000 cattle at this stage. 41 watt-hours per kilometre. 29 k's because we're going down a steepish sort of a hill on a shitty road. And I don't want to be falling off. So you remember that superior judgment I was boasting about? Let's see how we go with it now. I use back brake for that, because I don't want to lock up the front wheel and go arse over tea kettle. Yeah, we got 17 kilometres away on about 21% of a battery. Hopefully that doesn't do nothing bad. Over there. Point the whole body in that direction. Maybe you can turn, maybe you can't. watt-hours per kilometre. 32 kilometres an hour, 73% of the battery. I think for a teenager this would be as boring as shit, but for a 63-year-old zombie it's bloody good. Compared to the option of putting up daisies in 2022, this is great. And I suppose the big news of the day, if we wanted something else to say, of course, about something a bit meaningful, is yesterday and probably around about this time, some idiot in Sydney literally ran amok with a knife in the Bondi shopping plaza. I think at the current rate there's 6 people that he killed and about another 12 in hospital, and the police lady ran to the sound of the danger and confronted him and shot him. And as soon as he'd hit the ground, there was people on social media trying to claim that it was terrorist related and it was supposed to be a Palestinian attack because it happened in a place where there was a lot of synagogues showing up on Google Maps in the surrounding 10-kilometre circle or something. Other people were trying to say that the attacker's name was Benjamin Cohen, you know, which is a fairly obvious Jewish name. And that all turned out to be complete bullshit. It was a 40-year-old white man from Queensland who'd been living in Sydney for about a month. He was known to the Queensland police and he was known to have mental health issues. So essentially what you had was one festering nutter who decided to throw a public temper tantrum and run around having a go at killing anybody and everybody who looked as if they were enjoying their life more than he was enjoying his life. Although I got to say, having watched various phone videos of him, security videos or whatever it was, the way he was only running after people who stood still in shock, and he was having nothing to do with anybody who actually ran away at great speed from him. You know, he'd have a bit of a go at them, but if they continued to run away, then he gave up on them and went for somebody else who was basically standing still horrified. That's a pretty well thought out military tactic, you know, if you bypass the strong points and attack the weakest positions, that might perhaps account for why he killed, I think it was 4 women, 5 women and 1 man. I don't know whether he'd had military training. He'd be the right age for a PTSD, head fuck veterans from Afghanistan. And I don't know whether he got spat out by a domestic situation in Queensland that went wrong. That perhaps might account for why he was specialising in women and babies. I don't know how old the other 12 people are who are in hospital. But it's just a little bit sad that as soon as anything happens anywhere, everybody wants to start immediately blaming it on a shit fight that's happening on the other side of the planet on the edge of the Mediterranean Ocean, as if anything that happens there is any reason at all whatsoever for anybody in Australia to get the shits with anybody else in Australia. It's if a bunch of Arabs and a bunch of Jewish migrants to Palestine want to have a shit fight among themselves over how long, who's been living on which bit of land, where, that's kind of their business. Nothing to do with anybody who lives in Australia. If you've got relatives who are over there, well, okay, you've got relatives who live there. They might know something about it, but you don't. And none of your relatives over there know anything at all whatsoever about the people who are on the other side of the line of dispute. What is absolutely 100% factually certain is that if you ask any of the Palestinians, why is it that Israel does this to you, they will answer, and I'm quoting, because people have asked them, they will answer, oh, they just hate us. And if you ask them in Israel, why do the Palestinians attack you? Oh, they hate us. They just hate us. 41 watt hours per kilometre on the dirt. Flat diggy, 69% battery, 47 kilometres an hour, and 21 kilometres away from the hut originally. Still earning 41 watt hours per kilometre. So both sides are fully convinced that the other side is only attacking them because, quote, they hate us. And if you ask both sides, the people who are in the military, the people fighting for Palestine, regardless of who they enlisted with, what colours they fight under, if they're fighting against the Israelis and they say they're fighting for Palestine, let's give them the respect to say that they know who they're fighting for and what they're fighting for, because you or I are probably unlikely to figure it out. You ask the Palestinian fighters, what are they fighting for? They're fighting because they love their country, they love their family, they love their culture, they love their city, they love their hometown, they love their pet bloody goat or something. They don't fight the Israelis because they hate them, unless the Israelis very recently killed somebody that they really were attached to, in which case, yeah, they might go out there and say, oh, I bloody hate them because they killed my blah, 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 blah. Therefore, I'm going to go and revenge myself and I'm going to kill 7 of them for every one of them, one of their places they killed. You know, like eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, very Old Testament. And the Old Testament, you know, the other word for that is the Torah. It's the bloody Judaic religious original book of God theory. 42 watt hours per kilometre and we're going downhill 44 kilometres an hour. We're in sport mode because we're on bitumen and we've got the friction coefficient between the tyres and the road surface to handle it. About to see the shadow version of the me. to prepare their defences. 44 k's up the hill, 42 watt-hours per kilometre. 66% battery capacity. 24 kilometres on the odometer. The proverbial Sunday afternoon drive, only we're doing it with a ride. And hopefully, I got the camera angle right. K, 43 watt hours per kilometre, 65%, still 24. Nice little escort from the lorikeets there. Bike's so bloody quiet, all I can hear is the noise of the air going past the vents in the back of the helmet. If you turn your head one way or the other, you get a sound that makes it wonder if there's a car sneaking up. So lots of looking in the rear vision mirror. You wouldn't want to ride one of these things into a parent. Pretty sure if I hadn't been in the wrong position, according to the road rules, I would not have had any time to make any corrections between first seeing that grey four-wheel drive and having my radiator, his radiator be in a perpendicular line with my front tyre. Like he came up a hill over a crest in the middle of the turn. Not down there, but holy shit, look at that. 45, pulling 44 watt-hours per kilometre. We're going up that hill I was telling you about, or coming down. This is why, in my opinion, the uphills and the downhills of the topography that you drive over, if you're working out of a pit space, if you start at your front gate and you go out on your day's activities and you come home to your front gate, then literally it doesn't matter a speed bit whether you go uphill or down dale anywhere during the day, because every time you go downhill and you regenerate a bit of current and put it in the battery, it's just going to burn that extra current and more when you come back up the hill afterwards. Anytime you go up a hill, getting away from your place, yes, you burn more current going up it, and you'll be able to regenerate some coming down. We're now 45 watt-hours per kilometre, 60% battery, 44 kilometres an hour. going down the hill in the rotary motor in the back side, and the rotary motor in the motor shaft into an electric current to put that back in the battery. There's no such thing as a free lunch, and the petrol motor is utterly bullshit. 43k, 46 whatever going up there. Got a car coming behind me. Have to get ready for on the wall in advance. 57%, 28 kilometres, 46 watt hours per kilometre. And then when I get home, I will break out the brush cutter and a CLI 300 battery, and I will brush cut for about an hour, maybe an hour and a quarter. And then I will have a motorbike with a half full battery and a brush cutter battery with the 3/4 empty. And I'll put them both on the start at the same time, and the motorbike will suck 750 watts and the brush cutter battery will suck 300 watts. About an hour and a half, the generator will have 30% of its rated capacity as a load, so the generator will be actually happy. Because if you use a 3000 watt generator to recharge a 300 watt battery at 250 watts or 300 watts, you have to have ancillaries to cut this right. 250 watt battery charger has to have a stand, but like 750 watt battery charger for the motorbike has a stand. So anyway, the point is the generator doesn't like charging components at the same time. With a brush cutter, I can put two train full batteries on at one time, but one of them goes on the small charger at 8 amps, the other one goes on the big one at 3 amps. 38 amps is what I want. That would be 12 volt amps coming out of the battery bank. Put it in another way, 300 watts plus 80 watts. Yeah, I need at least 1,000. So when it's a cloudy day, you sort of have to ride the motorbike. If I'm going to run the chainsaw or run the brush cutter, so that I can then recharge the Husqvarna battery on the big charger at the same time as I'm charging the Talaria on its charger, both off the one generator. To be honest with you, you're spending an enormous amount of time paying attention to and worrying about batteries when you start putting on their chargers. I've got a bedside radio which uses 6 C-size rechargeable nickel-metal hydride batteries. I've got 6 of them that are 10 years old, might be 8 years old, I think they're 10. And they're 3,000 milliamp hours, and they take 3 hours to recharge. At the moment they're pretty old and tired, but much get 3 days out of the set. I started off with 12 of them, 2 full sets, back when I first got that yellow 4-wheel radio. Because DC batteries, C-size batteries were very expensive to feed. And the one that's beside the bed, 4 of those batteries are $15, and 2 of them are $11, so you're looking at $26 to get 3 weeks out of it. Whereas if you buy 600 milliamp hour nickel metal hydride battery, that's only $20. 6 of them for $120. Now after 3 months, the nickel metal hydride batteries have outlasted the disposable batteries at $26 for about 21 days. You know, they cost more than $1 a day to throw the batteries away. But you have to leave them there, sit around 5 hours monitoring 4 of them, and another 5 hours monitoring the second 4. Might even be worthwhile getting a second battery card to start to monitor all bloody 6 at the same 5 hours. Because there's been a hell of a lot of publicity about various house fires, car fires, motorbike fires, scooter fires, e-bike fires caused by lithium-ion batteries, either being badly assembled, badly manufactured, made up on the kitchen table with a soldering iron and a set of plans off the internet, or physically damaged and then used anyway, or put onto an L.Mirror charger and then left unsupervised. There's a whole lot of things that people do wrong with their rechargeable lithium-ion batteries, and then when it blows up and burns the house down, they blame the battery. I'm endeavouring not to be one of those people, so therefore, you know, not only do I have lawful and chainsaw batteries and front cutter batteries, yeah, you have to spend a lot of time manually supervising. And I think their potential for going wrong is such that anybody who tries to take the cheap option, that's wandering all over the bloody road. Anybody who tries to go for the cheap option, they're just bloody cruel. Now that's 50% of the battery capacity. We started out on 95, so 45% of the battery will do 33 kilometres. It now says we're pulling 47 watt hours per kilometre, and we're only doing 44. I'm going to suspect that as the battery voltage drops, that little watt hours per kilometre display reads slightly higher than what it's actually pulling, and when the battery is fully charged and the voltage is high, it reads slightly lower. In fact, at 49% battery capacity, this might be what it actually pulls. So, you know, you ride on 40 watt hours per kilometre on the way out, you ride home on 47 or 50 watt hours per kilometre. Don't know. But I think I've probably got about 60 kilometres absolute range the way I ride it. And if I look like I'm not going to get home in time, I can always go back to eco mode and nip home slowly. It's now saying 48 watt hours per kilometre and it's 34 days, and we're just about to bloody drill the driveway. Shows no indication of wanting to break traction on natural dirt. More than 7 watt hours per kilometre within 33 days. 48% battery. And I have demonstrated to my own satisfaction that, yeah, I can wear granny glasses and I can read the instruments as well as see the road. But I can't wear sunglasses. Not while wearing granny glasses. Have to go a little bit gentle over that bump there because the cross brace on the pannier rack gets a bit upsetting. And I should have opened the visor before coming up this hill because it's steaming up. My daughter has come back from town. There we go. Right. Mm. 36 kilometres, 45% battery. Why is this not working? That would be it, I'm guessing. I must have forgotten how to bloody work the button, I don't know. There we go, average speed 37, max speed 50, trip 36, 177, 58 minutes, 50 kilometres. $37. Righto, there we go, and 45. Well, I'm pretty happy with that. Now all I've got to do is hope that the video actually printed. And time will tell. Warbles on a lot to YouTube. Ciao.